For centuries, scholars and believers alike have asked, what happened to the original law of Moses? Were parts of it lost, hidden, or deliberately erased from history? Today, we uncover ancient secrets buried for 3,000 years, and what we find could rewrite everything we thought we knew about divine law and human civilization. Welcome to a journey deep into the heart of history, a journey that begins on the slopes of Mount Sinai and stretches through forgotten temples, lost scrolls, and the sands of time. For over 3 millennia, the law of Moses has shaped civilizations, guided empires, and defined right from wrong. But what if what we've been following isn't the full story? What if parts of the original divine law were lost or hidden for reasons that still haunt the corridors of power today? Imagine standing at the foot of Mount Sinai, winds sweeping through the rocks, thunder echoing across the desert sky, and a figure cloaked in divine fire stepping down from the mountain. In his hands, 2 tablets carved not by man, but by something far greater. These were said to contain the law of Moses, the foundation of faith, morality, and civilization itself. But what if I told you? What we know as the 10 Commandments might be just a fragment of what once existed? The law of Moses is one of history's most powerful yet misunderstood phrases. Most people think of the 10 Commandments, etched in stone and delivered by God Himself. But ancient texts hint that the original law was far more than 10 simple rules. It was a vast and complex code, a divine constitution that defined not only spiritual life but the structure of an entire civilization. The Torah, or the 5 books of Moses, became its written legacy, but the true extent of the law may have once included lost scrolls, hidden commandments, and oral teachings passed only to the initiated. In the book of Exodus, Moses is said to spend 40 days and nights on the mountain. 40 days, not to receive 10 short sentences, but to commune, to learn, to inscribe. Early Hebrew traditions describe Moses receiving the written law and the oral law, one for the people and one so sacred it was kept hidden, preserved through generations of priests and scholars. But somewhere in the chaos of exile, conquest, and centuries of rewriting, parts of that law disappeared. And this is where the mystery begins. When the Israelites entered Canaan, the law of Moses was their guiding light, a system that blended divine command with social order. It defined justice, purity, sacrifice, and governance. Yet even in biblical times, the people were accused of forgetting the law. Prophets like Jeremiah and Hosea spoke of a time when the law has been lost and truth has fallen in the streets. What did they mean by that? Were they referring to moral decay or the literal disappearance of sacred texts? Centuries later, during the reign of King Josiah in the 7th century BCE, a shocking discovery was made in the temple, a book of the law hidden away, forgotten for generations. When it was read aloud, the king tore his robes in despair, realizing how far his people had strayed. But historians and theologians have long debated, which book was this? Was it Deuteronomy or something even older, something lost before history began recording? This discovery raises unsettling questions. How could a civilization that centered its identity around divine law lose its most sacred text? Some scholars suggest that the original law of Moses might have been rewritten multiple times, altered under royal and priestly influence. The version we have today may be the product of centuries of copying, editing, and interpretation, each generation shaping it to serve its own vision of truth. Others believe there once existed a proto-Torah, a foundational manuscript written by Moses himself, now completely lost. Archaeological discoveries lend weight to this idea. In the Dead Sea Scrolls, found at Qumran in 1947, fragments were uncovered that differ from the biblical versions we know. They contain laws, commandments, and rituals never mentioned in the Torah, references to cosmic laws, hidden wisdom, and divine decrees that suggest an older, purer form of Mosaic teaching. Some of these writings even refer to books of Moses not given to the common people, hinting that knowledge was deliberately restricted. And what about Mount Sinai itself? Scholars can't even agree on its location. There are at least half a dozen competing theories, from Egypt's Sinai Peninsula to the deserts of Arabia. If we don't even know where Moses received the law, how can we be certain of what that law contained? Could there still be hidden chambers or caves in those mountains holding ancient tablets, scrolls, or inscriptions that tell a different version of the story? Throughout ancient history, the pattern repeats: a sacred law delivered, then lost or corrupted, then rediscovered and reinterpreted. From Babylonian exile to Roman occupation, the Hebrew scriptures endured constant translation and transformation. The result? What we call Mosaic law today might be a mosaic in itself. Pieces of truth scattered across time, carefully reconstructed but never entirely complete. Even ancient rabbis seemed aware of this mystery. In the Talmud, it said that when Moses died, 13 copies of the law existed, one for each tribe of Israel. Yet only one was placed beside the Ark of the Covenant, and the rest vanished from record. Imagine that: 12 lost copies of the divine code, each potentially holding variations or insights now erased by time. And then there are the books of Moses that never made it into the Bible. Texts like the Book of Jasher, the Book of Jubilees, and the Ascension of Moses. Each of these claims to reveal hidden laws, lost commandments, or divine conversations that never reached the public scriptures. Were these rejected as apocryphal because they were false, or because they revealed too much? As centuries passed, what began as the living voice of divine law turned into a complex maze of interpretation. Priests, prophets, and scholars debated endlessly over what was original and what was human addition. The mystery deepened further as other civilizations, the Egyptians, Babylonians, and even Greeks, preserved laws that mirrored the moral and ritual structure of Moses' teachings. Could the law of Moses have roots even older than Moses himself, reaching back to the dawn of civilization, when humanity first sought to understand the balance between order and chaos, justice and sin, heaven and earth? The more we dig, the more it seems the law of Moses wasn't a single document. It was a living system of divine wisdom, portions of which have vanished into the shadows of history. The story of its loss is not just about missing scrolls. It's about how humanity lost touch with the cosmic law that once connected the divine to the human heart. A law meant not only to rule a nation, but to guide the soul centuries after Moses descended from Mount Sinai. A silence fell over the land, a silence filled with questions. Where were the original tablets? What became of the sacred writings he inscribed? Generations spoke of the book of the law, yet few ever saw it. Some said it was sealed within the Ark of the Covenant. Others whispered that it had been hidden, buried, or even taken to protect it from being corrupted. But the deeper we look, the clearer it becomes that parts of Moses' original teachings vanished, not by accident, but through deliberate concealment. In the days of King Josiah, around the 7th century BCE, the Bible itself records a strange and unsettling event. During the repair of the temple in Jerusalem, priests discovered a forgotten scroll, a book of the law. When it was read aloud to the king, he was horrified. The words described punishments and curses for abandoning divine commandments, things the nation had long ignored. How could such a foundational text, supposedly the heart of Israel's faith, have been lost inside its own temple? That single discovery raises a disturbing possibility. If one scroll could disappear for generations, how many others might have been hidden, destroyed, or rewritten? Historians suggest that the scroll found by Josiah was not merely a rediscovered book. It may have been a heavily edited version of the original Mosaic law. Some scholars propose that Deuteronomy itself was written or rewritten at that time, molded to fit the political and religious needs of the kingdom. In other words, the rediscovery may have been part restoration, part revision. The priests of that era may have been safeguarding older traditions or crafting new versions to unify a fragmented people. Whatever the truth, it means the law of Moses may have evolved under human hands, and that earlier scrolls, now missing, might have told a very different story. The Bible's own records support this mystery. In 2 Kings and 2 Chronicles, references appear to other books of Moses or books of the law of the Lord, now entirely lost. These writings were part of Israel's history once, official records that simply vanished. The question is, were they destroyed during invasions, burned during the Babylonian exile, or deliberately concealed because they contained knowledge considered too sacred or too dangerous for the public? Ancient Jewish traditions speak of hidden scrolls stored in secret chambers beneath the Temple of Solomon. When the Babylonians invaded in 586 BCE, the Ark of the Covenant disappeared, and with it perhaps the last complete copy of the divine law. The Dead Sea Scrolls discovered at Qumran millennia later give us a glimpse into what may have survived in fragments, alternate versions of Genesis, Exodus, and Leviticus, mixed with entirely unknown writings. Among them were scrolls containing laws, rituals, and moral codes not found in the traditional Torah. Some even describe cosmic laws, the order of creation, light, and darkness, echoing the voice of a law beyond the human realm. The idea of a hidden code within these lost laws has fascinated scholars and mystics alike. The Torah we know is filled with patterns, repetitions, and numerical sequences that suggest a deeper design. Ancient rabbis believed that every letter carried divine meaning, that secret knowledge was encoded in the very structure of the text. Kabbalistic tradition goes further, teaching that Moses received not just written commandments, but mystical formulas. A divine language of creation. Could it be that the lost scrolls contained these cosmic keys, a law not meant merely for governance, but for unlocking the mysteries of existence itself? Some modern researchers have attempted to decode what they call Bible codes, hidden messages found through complex mathematical patterns in Hebrew scripture. While controversial, these theories revive an ancient idea that the law of Moses was more than moral instruction. It was an encrypted message from the divine, a blueprint of creation hidden in plain sight. If parts of the original text were removed or altered, then perhaps those codes were broken, leaving us with only fragments of an ancient cipher that once connected heaven and earth. Other ancient writings, once attributed to Moses, hint at even greater mysteries. The Book of Jubilees, for example, describes secret heavenly tablets that contained laws written before the creation of the world. The ascension of Moses tells of divine knowledge shown to him but concealed from mankind. These texts were banned from the biblical canon, dismissed as heresy or labeled apocryphal. Yet they persist in fragments, found in caves and libraries from Egypt to Ethiopia, echoing one consistent theme, that Moses was given knowledge too vast for a single people or a single book. There are also strange archaeological clues. Inscriptions found near Mount Sinai and in the deserts of Arabia bear symbols resembling early Hebrew, marking scholars believe may be remnants of the earliest covenant records. Some stones seem to depict laws of ritual, purity, and cosmic order, principles that align with the Mosaic system yet differ in language and form. Were these remnants of the first laws, carved by the followers of Moses before the written Torah was codified? Or are they relics of an even older law that Moses adapted into the divine code we know today? The idea of a hidden law also appears outside of Jewish tradition. Islamic and Christian sources both refer to missing revelations, texts known to prophets but not preserved. In Islamic writings, it's said that the Torah, given to Moses was pure, but over time, parts were forgotten or altered. In the early Christian era, church fathers debated over the secret books of Moses, some claiming they contained forbidden wisdom about angels, creation, and the divine name itself. Across all these traditions, one truth remains consistent: something was lost, something powerful enough to be feared, hidden, or destroyed. And yet, fragments of it continue to resurface, buried in the sands, concealed in the archives of monasteries, or encoded in the very letters of ancient scripture. Each discovery challenges our understanding of history and faith, forcing us to ask whether we've truly grasped what Moses brought down from the mountain. Because somewhere, scattered across scrolls and symbols, may still lie the missing words of that divine law, waiting for the right moment to be understood once again. What if the law of Moses we know today is only half the story, a public version meant for the masses, while the deeper truth was hidden away, preserved only for the chosen few? Across the centuries, whispers of a forbidden knowledge buried within the ancient law have echoed through temples, scrolls, and secret societies. These whispers suggest that Moses did not just deliver rules for living, but revealed a cosmic science, a divine technology of creation, justice, and spiritual power that was considered too dangerous for ordinary people to possess. The question is, why would divine wisdom ever need to be hidden? According to ancient traditions, not all knowledge was meant for everyone. In the book of Exodus, when Moses returns from Mount Sinai with the tablets of law, his face is said to shine with a light so radiant that the people could not look directly at him. He veiled his face to shield them from that blinding glow. Some scholars believe this moment symbolizes more than divine glory. It represents hidden truth, concealed because humanity was not ready to understand it. That veil between Moses and his people may have also been a veil between divine knowledge and human comprehension. As time passed, priestly classes emerged, guardians of sacred wisdom, keepers of laws the common people could not access. The Levites, descendants of Aaron, became mediators between the divine and the nation. They were entrusted not only with rituals but with secret teachings about purity, cosmic order, and the sacred calendar, the rhythms by which heaven and earth were aligned. This inner circle held power through knowledge. The idea of forbidden wisdom was not about fear of heresy, but control over understanding. To know the divine structure of reality was to hold influence over creation itself. There are hints of this division throughout Scripture. In the book of Deuteronomy, Moses tells the people, "The secret things belong to the Lord our God, but the things revealed belong to us and our children forever." That one line has puzzled theologians for centuries. What were those secret things? Were they the unspoken laws of the cosmos, laws that govern not morality but existence itself? Ancient mystics believed that Moses was taught by God not only commandments, but also the hidden science of divine names, the language by which creation itself was spoken into being. This knowledge, passed down through priestly initiation, was said to grant insight into the structure of reality, power that could heal, curse, or even alter fate. As civilizations rose and fell, this hidden aspect of Mosaic wisdom began to vanish from mainstream religion, replaced by literal interpretations of the written law. Yet, traces of it survived in mystical traditions like the Kabbalah, which teaches that the Torah operates on 4 levels, from the literal to the secret. The deepest level, Sod, is reserved for those who can perceive divine mysteries hidden in the shapes, sounds, and sequences of letters themselves. In this sense, the law was never just a moral code, it was a multidimensional map of creation. The priests and prophets who guarded these mysteries knew that knowledge could be both a blessing and a weapon. In the wrong hands, the secrets of divine law could disrupt the order of the world. The power to invoke God's name, to read the hidden symbols in the stars, or to manipulate natural forces was knowledge that could elevate a soul or destroy civilizations. Some traditions claim that parts of Moses' original teachings were deliberately removed from public scripture after his death. Only fragments were preserved in coded form, embedded in genealogies, symbolic rituals, and parables that only the initiated could decode. Outside the Hebrew world, similar patterns emerge. In Egypt, priests guarded sacred texts in hidden chambers, teaching select disciples the laws of Mat, truth, balance, and cosmic justice. In Mesopotamia, scribes encoded their divine laws within myths about gods and kings. It's possible that Moses, raised in the Egyptian court, inherited some of these ancient traditions, knowledge of how law, language, and creation intertwined. When he brought divine law to his people, he may have fused spiritual and cosmic order into a single system. But over time, those deeper layers were stripped away, leaving behind the shell of what was once a living science of divine balance. Even in later centuries, powerful religious figures warned against seeking too deeply into the mysteries of God. The Book of Enoch, once revered but later banned, speaks of angels who fell because they revealed forbidden knowledge, the secrets of heaven, metallurgy, and magic to humanity. The fear was not simply of heresy, but of humanity wielding power beyond moral restraint. Could the hidden parts of the Law of Moses have contained similar insights, knowledge about creation, time, and energy that religious authorities believed could not be safely released? Some historians see evidence of suppression during the Second Temple period, when priestly factions competed for authority. The Essenes, a secretive sect living near the Dead Sea, claimed to follow the true law of Moses, which they said had been corrupted by Jerusalem's priests. Their writings describe a divine calendar, laws of light and darkness, and a covenant between the sons of heaven and the sons of earth, concepts absent from mainstream scripture but consistent with a cosmic interpretation of Mosaic law. Then came the exiles, the conquerors, and the editors, each reshaping sacred text to fit their world. As the Torah was copied and translated, subtle alterations may have buried its secret meanings even deeper. By the time of the Greeks and Romans, much of the ancient wisdom was cloaked in allegory, studied only by mystics and philosophers who suspected the text contained more than commandments, that it was, in truth, a code. A code written in divine symbols, hiding the architecture of the universe itself. To the ancients, this wasn't fantasy, it was faith. The idea that divine law could shape reality, that creation itself was governed by a hidden rhythm, and that only a few could interpret it. The forbidden knowledge was not forbidden by cruelty, but by caution. Some truths, they believed, were too bright for human eyes to see without being blinded. And so from Moses' glowing face to the locked libraries of forgotten temples, the deeper laws remained veiled, passed through whispers, symbols, and secret initiations, waiting for those who could see beyond the written words and glimpse the universe as Moses once did on that mountain of fire. For centuries, scholars have searched deserts, mountains, and ruins for traces of the original law of Moses, the physical proof that what was handed down on Mount Sinai once existed in tangible form. But each discovery, instead of closing the mystery, seems to open new doors. Ancient scrolls, broken tablets, cryptic inscriptions, and fragments of forgotten books whisper a story far deeper and more complex than the one we read in modern scripture. Could the earth itself still be holding pieces of the divine law, evidence that was never meant to be found? It all begins with the mountain. The traditional Mount Sinai, located in Egypt's Sinai Peninsula, has been venerated for centuries as the site where Moses received the Ten Commandments. But the truth is, no one actually knows where Sinai is. Archaeologists, historians, and theologians have proposed over half a dozen locations, from Egypt's rugged granite peaks to the volcanic mountains of northwest Arabia. In the sands of Jebel al-Lawz in Saudi Arabia, explorers have found strange rock carvings, charred mountain surfaces, and Hebrew-style inscriptions that some claim are remnants of the Exodus. Among them are symbols resembling early Semitic letters, possibly marking sacred boundaries or covenant sites. Could these be relics of the earliest followers of Moses, marking the place where divine law was born? Then there are the fragments discovered in the caves of Qumran near the Dead Sea Scrolls, one of the most significant archaeological discoveries of the 20th century. Inside these ancient jars were texts dating back over 2,000 years, including copies of the Torah, Psalms, and prophetic books. But among the familiar writings were mysterious manuscripts that never made it into the Bible. They spoke of hidden laws, cosmic calendars, and divine secrets given to prophets. Writings that describe a version of Mosaic law more mystical and cosmic than the one known to modern religion. Some scrolls refer to a teacher of righteousness who sought to restore the true covenant that had been corrupted by the priests of Jerusalem. If the Essenes, the sect believed to have written these scrolls, claimed to follow the law of Moses, then what version of that law were they preserving, and how did it differ from the Torah we know? One of the most fascinating discoveries is the copper scroll, unlike any other found at Qumran. Etched into thin sheets of copper instead of parchment, it describes hidden treasures buried in specific locations throughout ancient Israel, treasures possibly linked to the First Temple. Some believe these caches included sacred scrolls, relics, or even parts of the Ark of the Covenant itself. The language of the copper scroll is coldly practical, listing places, measures, and weights. But behind its coded directions may lie something more, an attempt to preserve the physical remnants of divine law from destruction or capture. Beyond the caves of Qumran, other ancient findings raise equally haunting questions. In 1979, 2 small silver scrolls were discovered in a burial cave near Jerusalem, the oldest known fragments of biblical text ever found. Inscribed on them was the priestly blessing from the Book of Numbers: "The Lord bless you and keep you." Their date, centuries older than the Dead Sea Scrolls, suggests that the Mosaic Law, or at least parts of it, was written and preserved in multiple forms long before the canon we now possess. Were these amulets fragments of a larger body of sacred law, small pieces of a text so vast and powerful that only portions could be safely carried? Then we have the mysterious inscriptions found in the Sinai Peninsula and the Arabian deserts, Proto-Hebrew and Proto-Canaanite carvings that depict names, prayers, and even references to divine commandments. Some scholars have proposed that these could be early markers of the Israelite journey, perhaps even signs left by the tribes who carried the law of Moses through the wilderness. Among these discoveries are inscriptions invoking Yahweh, the God of Israel, alongside Egyptian symbols suggesting a cultural fusion that mirrors Moses' own journey, a man raised in Pharaoh's court, but chosen to deliver divine law to a nomadic people. But not all clues are carved in stone. Some lie buried in ancient libraries, preserved by monks and mystics who refuse to let the old knowledge vanish. In the dusty manuscripts of the Cairo Geniza, a storeroom of discarded Hebrew texts discovered in a synagogue, scholars found fragments of unknown laws, alternative commandments, and ritual texts that echo but alter the Mosaic code. They suggest that different Jewish communities once followed different versions of the same divine law, each claiming to hold the authentic one. Could it be that multiple branches of Mosaic tradition existed simultaneously, and that only one survived into modern scripture? Even the structure of the Torah itself hides clues to something older. Linguists studying its composition have noticed variations in writing style and vocabulary, evidence of multiple authors or editors over centuries. Some sections, like the Covenant Code and the Deuteronomic Law, repeat similar commandments with subtle changes in meaning. These duplications hint that earlier laws were merged, rewritten, or harmonized, perhaps combining regional traditions into one unified text. If that's true, the Torah might be less a single revelation and more a collection of divine fragments stitched together from lost scrolls that once stood alone. Beyond the Hebrew world, echoes of Mosaic law appear in other ancient codes. The Babylonian Code of Hammurabi, the Egyptian Book of the Dead, and Sumerian temple inscriptions all contain moral and ritual principles resembling those of Moses' justice, purity, divine retribution, and the sanctity of truth. Could these parallels point to a shared ancient source, an older divine law passed down through civilizations before finding its purest form on Sinai? Or do they suggest that the law of Moses was part of a much broader ancient conversation, one that humanity has been trying to remember ever since? Each discovery, each broken tablet, each fragment of parchment adds another piece to the puzzle. And yet, the full picture remains elusive. The scrolls speak in riddles, the mountains keep their secrets, and the sands continue to hide what time is buried. Somewhere, perhaps still sealed beneath rock or hidden within ancient temples, lies the missing evidence, the physical trace of a law said to have been written by the very hand of God. What if the law of Moses was never meant to be read only as commandments? What if it was written as a language of symbols, a divine code carrying meanings far beyond the surface? Across centuries, scholars, mystics, and prophets have suspected that behind every line of the Mosaic law lies another message, hidden within the rhythm of words, the numbers, and the patterns of the text. These are the lost layers, the secret instructions for creation, morality, and even the balance of the universe itself, woven into a structure so intricate that it could only have been crafted by a divine hand. To understand the hidden messages of the lost law, we must first look at the way ancient people saw the world. In the time of Moses, words were not just sounds or letters, they were power. The Hebrew language, especially the one used in the Torah, was seen as sacred, a tool through which God created existence. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. The divine act of speaking was an act of creation. So, if the law of Moses came from that same voice, then the words of the law were not merely legal rules. They were creative commands, formulas for harmony between the physical and the spiritual worlds. The structure of the Torah itself hints at layers far deeper than the literal. Ancient Jewish scholars identified numerical patterns that appear too precise to be coincidence. Every letter, every word count, even the spacing between verses, follows rhythms that correspond to astronomical cycles, lunar calendars, and sacred geometry. The Ten Commandments, for instance, are arranged in two groups of 5, not just to divide duties toward God and toward man, but to mirror the duality of heaven and earth, spirit and matter. The very shape of the tablets, according to ancient drawings, reflected balance, the symmetry of divine order. Kabbalistic tradition, which claims to preserve the mystical side of Mosaic law, teaches that Moses received not only written commandments but also a deeper revelation, an understanding of how divine energy flows through creation. According to this belief, each commandment carries a symbolic vibration connected to a specific aspect of reality. "You shall not steal" is not only a rule about property, it's an instruction to keep balance within the cosmic flow of giving and receiving. "Honor your father and your mother" is not just a moral duty, it mirrors the divine hierarchy where creation must honor its source. Every commandment, then, was a mirror of the universe encoded in language that humanity could follow on both a practical and a spiritual level. Hidden within the Torah are also sequences that form what mystics call names of God, combinations of letters believed to represent divine forces or aspects of creation. One of the most famous is the 72-letter name, derived from 3 verses in Exodus describing the parting of the Red Sea. Scholars have long puzzled over why these verses repeat a pattern of 72 letters each. Ancient sages claimed it was no accident. It was a key to unlocking a divine formula, a way Moses used to channel the power of creation itself. If such knowledge existed within the law, then much of it may have been intentionally concealed to prevent misuse, leaving only the surface visible to the uninitiated. Beyond the Hebrew texts, echoes of these hidden messages appear in other ancient writings. The Book of Jubilees, sometimes called the Lesser Genesis, expands on the laws given to Moses and introduces the concept of heavenly tablets, divine records containing all the laws of creation, time, and morality. These tablets, it says, were shown to Moses on Sinai, revealing not just the laws for his people, but the entire cosmic design by which the universe operates. He was told to write down only what humanity was ready for, leaving the rest in the care of angels. This idea suggests that much of the original knowledge was deliberately withheld, the deeper universal laws kept in the realm of the divine. When we read the stories of the law, the commandments, the sacrifices, the rituals, we often miss the underlying language of symbolism. The number 40, appearing repeatedly in Moses' story, 40 days on Sinai, 40 years in the wilderness, was not random. In ancient numerology, 40 symbolized transformation, purification, and rebirth. It represented the time needed for the old to die and the new to emerge. The ark, the flood, the desert, all these motifs align with the cycle of cleansing before divine revelation. So, the law itself, born out of 40 days of divine communion, was a structure of transformation designed to purify the people, not only in behavior, but in spirit. Even the design of the tabernacle, the sacred tent built under Moses' command, is filled with hidden messages. Its dimensions, colors, and materials correspond to cosmic patterns: gold for divine light, blue for the heavens, scarlet for sacrifice, linen for purity. The Ark of the Covenant, which held the tablets, was placed in the Holy of Holies, a chamber representing the intersection between heaven and earth. Every measurement was exact, every ritual timed with celestial cycles. The tabernacle wasn't just a place of worship. It was a physical reflection of the divine law itself. The law made architecture, geometry, and sound. Some historians argue that these patterns are coincidence, the result of human imagination layered over ancient myth. But the precision and consistency across texts and traditions suggest otherwise. The Law of Moses, when viewed through the lens of ancient language and mysticism, reveals an extraordinary intentionality, as though it was designed to teach on multiple levels simultaneously. To the ordinary person, it gave structure and morality. To the scholar, it revealed history and law. But to the initiated, it whispered of the cosmos, the balance of energies, and the laws that govern both matter and spirit. Even modern researchers exploring the so-called Torah codes, the mathematical patterns hidden in the Hebrew text, believe that these alignments may not be accidental. Some claim to find names, dates, and events encoded in precise letter sequences. While the scientific community debates these claims, the idea itself reflects an ancient belief. that divine communication is multidimensional, and the true law of God cannot be confined to surface meanings alone. The Torah, in this view, is a living text, one that continues to reveal new messages as humanity evolves. The lost law's hidden messages may never be fully decoded, but the fragments we understand point toward a truth as old as creation. That every commandment, every letter, every pattern was part of a greater design, one that connected the human spirit to the divine blueprint of the universe. For thousands of years, the Law of Moses has been treated as ancient history, something carved in stone, fixed in the past. But what if the true message of that law was meant to stay buried beneath layers of religion and ritual? What if the rediscovery of the lost teachings could change not only how we view faith, but how we live, how we govern, and how we understand the very structure of reality itself? The lost law, if ever revealed, might not simply rewrite religious doctrine, it could redefine the human story. In a world struggling with moral confusion, corruption, and chaos, the echoes of an ancient code still call out. The Law of Moses was more than commandments. It was a moral architecture, a divine system meant to balance human freedom with universal justice. Its principles shaped civilizations for millennia, influencing everything from modern law to ethical philosophy. Yet what we've inherited is only a shadow of the original fragments, filtered through centuries of translation and reinterpretation. The question is not whether the lost law existed, but what it truly contained and why it was hidden. Imagine if the parts that vanished were not just religious details, but insights into how the universe operates, cosmic laws that connect ethics, nature, and creation itself. Ancient texts hint that Moses' teachings linked divine order to the rhythms of time, the cycles of the earth, even the alignment of the stars. This wasn't superstition. It was a vision of unity between humanity and the cosmos. Modern science is now rediscovering patterns that mirror those ancient ideas, the interconnectedness of all things, the balance between cause and effect, energy and intention. Could it be that what we now call natural law was once the spiritual truth encoded in the lost law of Moses? The implications of such knowledge would be revolutionary. The ancient world viewed law as sacred geometry, a reflection of divine design. Today, our laws are human constructs, often detached from morality and balance. But if the lost law revealed that justice itself is woven into the fabric of the universe, it would mean that moral order isn't merely belief. It's a natural law, as real as gravity or time. That changes everything. It means that when humanity violates moral order, it doesn't just sin, it disrupts the equilibrium of creation. Throughout history, every time humanity has rediscovered fragments of the lost law, it has sparked transformation. When King Josiah found the hidden book in the temple, it led to a national awakening. When the Dead Sea Scrolls emerged from their caves, they reignited global debate about the origins of faith. If another discovery were to happen today, a scroll, a tablet, or even an inscription proving the existence of Moses' lost teachings, it would shake the foundations of modern religion, science, and politics alike. Governments and religious institutions would rush to control the narrative. The world would be forced to confront a question that has been avoided for millennia. Have we been living by a partial truth? But the real revelation might not come from archaeology or technology, it might come from within. The lost law may not only exist in stone or scrolls, but in the collective memory of humanity. Every civilization, from the Egyptians to the Sumerians, held fragments of the same truth, that the world operates on principles of harmony, justice, and accountability. The rediscovery of Moses' law could remind us that divine order is not about punishment, it's about balance. It was never meant to enslave, it was meant to align, and that's something our modern world desperately needs to remember. Imagine applying those lost principles today, laws that govern not only actions, but thoughts and intentions. A system where truth, compassion, and justice weren't philosophical ideals, but measurable forces, where every decision rippled through the web of existence. Such a law would challenge our political systems, our economies, our ethics, even our understanding of consciousness itself. It would blur the line between science and spirituality, showing that the universe rewards balance and punishes imbalance, not through divine wrath, but through the natural consequences built into its design. The rediscovery of the lost law could also change how we perceive ourselves. Ancient texts suggest that the divine law wasn't imposed on humanity, it was reflected within us. "I will write my law upon their hearts," the prophet Jeremiah said. That line takes on a new meaning when seen through this lens. Maybe the true law of Moses was never entirely lost because it lives inside human consciousness, coded into our sense of right and wrong, the inner voice that still whispers the difference between justice and corruption. When humanity ignores it, chaos follows. When we align with it, peace returns. Modern researchers studying ancient patterns have begun to notice something remarkable, that moral and social systems based on fairness and reciprocity produce measurable stability and progress. Societies that follow ethical laws tend to flourish, while those that abandon them eventually collapse. It's as if the universe itself enforces moral balance, echoing what the lost law may have originally taught, that creation is built upon order, and disorder brings its own destruction. If we could recover even a portion of the lost law, its missing verses, its hidden codes, its cosmic insights, it could unify science, philosophy, and faith. The laws of energy and matter might finally be seen as reflections of the same divine order Moses glimpsed on Sinai. What ancient mystics called the voice of God might be what physicists now call the laws of nature, immutable, invisible, yet always just. The words once carved into stone could prove to be the same principles written into the atoms of the universe. For the modern world, this would not just be revelation, it would be reckoning. It would demand that humanity re-examine what it means to live in truth, to honor creation, and to walk in balance with the unseen order that governs all things. The rediscovery of the lost law wouldn't simply restore an ancient faith, it would restore the forgotten link between the human soul and the fabric of existence itself. For over 3,000 years, the mystery of the lost law of Moses has whispered through the ages, a riddle carved in stone and scattered by time. From the blazing summit of Mount Sinai to the silent caves of Qumran, fragments of divine order have surfaced again and again, each one daring humanity to look deeper. We've traced its echoes through history, through scrolls, codes, and buried temples, and what emerges is not merely a set of ancient commandments, but a universal blueprint for balance, justice, and truth. The lost law, it seems, was never truly lost. It has been hiding in plain sight, in the structure of nature, in the rhythm of morality, in the yearning of every human heart for harmony and meaning. Whether written on tablets of stone or etched into the essence of creation, it continues to call us back to a forgotten equilibrium, a reminder that divine law is not about control, but about connection. Perhaps the greatest secret hidden for 3 millennia is this: the law was not meant to imprison humanity, but to awaken it. The wisdom Moses carried down from the mountain was a reflection of something eternal, a truth that governs galaxies as much as it governs the human soul. And now, as science and spirituality edge closer together, as we rediscover fragments of forgotten wisdom, the question is no longer what was lost, but what we are finally ready to understand. The lost law of Moses may yet rise from the dust, not as an ancient command, but as a living revelation, a bridge between heaven and earth, between what we once were and what we are still destined to become.